Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright. We are officially live on the internet for the first time in the 2021-2022 hockey season. That's kinda neat. Just killing time before people get here. But it will happen. Oh. Of course I made it unlisted. Of course it's unlisted. There we go. Now it's public. Hooray! I did it. I finally got it. I'm a little bit rusty. A lot of time off, aka a whole month. A little bit rusty, but we got it going. The show is now up, public on the internet. So now that people can watch it on both YouTube and Twitch if they wish. Well, welcome back, Brian. Nice to see you here again. Always a pleasure. The most fun thing I did on my break, I actually went out to Nova Scotia for a week and a half, which was really nice. Saw my dad, and you know, got to hang out there for a bit, and it's lovely down there. We were down in the southwest corner of the country, or of the province, which was pretty nice. Also, if my audio levels need to be adjusted, please let me know. Or if they need to be messed with. I don't think I've ever used my headset on one of these live streams, but I might need to fiddle with the audio settings. Let's turn this down a bit, actually. There, that might be a bit better. I was pinning my headphone. What else did I do? Well, that was basically it, honestly. And the last couple of weeks, I've been spending some time watching some tape of 2022 guys. So if you have any questions about those folks, please let me know. And I will do my best to answer them. I cannot guarantee that my takes will be ironclad and solid and awesome. Not that they ever are. But I will guarantee that there are quite a few players that I have seen play, especially those that are already playing this season or played at some point during the summer. This was unexpected. Well, here we are. I announced it on the internet, and someone wasn't paying attention there, Tyler. I missed all of you. I hope you all had a lovely summer. Not that it's completely over yet, but thank you very much for being here. And I hope you all had lovely summers. If you did anything cool, let me know. Let the whole world know, or whatever, the small world that's in here. Is it finally time to talk about how incredible Shane Wright is? No. There's other guys playing that are pretty good right now. But it won't take very long for that question to be answered in the affirmative, I think. But he is pretty good. Is that guy wearing the Kraken battle jersey? Good question. We can pretend that he is. Let's pretend that he is. Also, one quick thing before we start having some fun playing games. It is currently election season in Canada up here. We're having a big federal election. I would urge you all to get set up to vote somehow. If you want, you can vote by mail if you're unsure with coronavirus restrictions, but voting is an important part of our social fabric. And I did find a really good resource to compare what the various major political parties in Canada are pushing. So if you will humor me for a moment, I'll post that and you can check it out in case you have not done so yet. I don't really care which way you vote, but I would like people to do it, especially these days. Got some. So anyway, with that out of the way, we actually have a question. Let me be the first to ask. Who should the Canucks draft at blank spot? See, that's already a loaded question, and it's only August? No, it's not. It's September. Because, well, if I say the Canucks should draft someone who's very good, that would imply the Canucks will be bad. And if I say that, then the Canucks are going to be good. But if I say the Canucks should draft this guy, who's my favorite so far that I like, then it kind of could mean that they might be good, but it might confuse the Jinx gods. I don't know who the Canucks should draft. I don't even know who's good in this year's draft yet. It's a little bit early. But there are some very good players this year for sure. I love me some small forwards who can rip it, like VT Miettinen, Marcus Almqvist, and Logan Stankoven. Who's someone in the next draft that fits that mold who I should follow? I'm curious about Florian Elias's brother Moritz. He's pretty small and he can shoot it. I'm thinking of maybe Danila Yurov, but he's likely to go very, very high. And he's not that small. I'm thinking of really, really small players. Let me pull up my prototype tracking document. Also, yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. For anyone who's a patron or a YouTube member, the spreadsheets are going to get updated, but I'm not going to update them until more leagues get going and there's a bit more of a sample. There are still some kinks I need to work out. There's been some back-end pipeline changes to how the data gets fed into the sheets, and I want to make sure that they work 100% before we really get them public. So they're coming in case you pay for the $5, $15, or $25, whatever. They're coming hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But I'm just looking now. Yeah, I mean, there aren't a ton of really, really small guys that I've seen that I really, really like. Justin Cote is one. He plays for Drummondville. I think he tied for the team lead in scoring goals last year, and he is pretty small, but he's pretty good as well. So, yeah, that would probably be the closest thing to what you're getting at. Scouch, convince me that things will be okay if the Sens bridge Brady. I mean, they'll still have a lot of cap room to sign him after his bridge. I think that a bridge, based on the fact that an 8x8 is the deal that is supposedly out there, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that Brady Tkachuk's team turned it down. Because I guess they're looking, I don't know. And if that's the case, I think it would be good to bridge him, because if I don't know if he's quite an $8 million player right now. He's not too far off, I don't think, but that's a lot to invest in that guy. So it might not be so bad to bridge him and say, well, let's give you a couple more years to, help see how much you can dig us out of the basement. But who knows? If it comes down to just not wanting to pay Brady Tkachuk, who is literally the lifeblood of the Ottawa Senators right now, I don't know what to tell you. That's beyond my pay grade. Michkov is off to 3 points in 3 games in the KHL. Do you think he maintains it to crush the point record for an 18-year-old player in the or an under-18 player in the KHL? I think it's entirely possible. He's incredibly talented with a tremendous scoring instinct and just a tremendous shot. I think that it's possible. I imagine he'll be in the KHL for a while. He looks like he kind of belongs. But yeah, I don't see it as an impossibility, which would be quite something for a D-1 guy. As an American, if you don't elect Jagmeet, let him lead us. Yeah, sure. If you want to do that, do that. I don't mind Jagmeet Singh. He's neat, I guess. Bruh, scouching in an NFL game. Bruh, I don't know what to watch. Well, I'm just going to be losing at video games for the next hour and 45 minutes probably. So if you want to watch that, or I don't know what football teams you're watching. I don't know what football teams are even any good or bad. But if they're bad, then you might have some competition. But who wants to watch good football teams play? Who wants to watch good things when you can watch people be terrible at something like me? Any thoughts on Kiril Marchenko? I have many. Dude is a point-per-game player right now and comes to Columbus next year. I mean, yeah, I love Kiril Marchenko. I think he's a great player. Just continues to get better and better in the KHL. Really, really good player. Super good, super skilled. Especially at 6'3", he's got puck protection with that skill that makes him really hard to get on top of, but then he's creative and he can shoot. He's a really well-rounded, skilled big man. And I've liked Kiril Marchenko. He was a guy when he was drafted by Columbus, I was kind of like, who the hell is this guy? And then about a year later, I went, oh, okay, this is one of those times where Columbus was just ahead of the curve, I think, a little bit than most people. But yeah, he's really good, I think. Or he could be really good in the NHL. Thoughts on the New Jersey Devils 2021 draft? I'm going to have to pull that up. What's the Joe Rogan thing? Sorry. I hate to mention Joe Rogan, but pull that up, Jamie. I'm pulling it up. I thought they did okay. I mean, Luke Hughes, I'll say this about Luke Hughes, now that it's been some time to think about it. The only thing for me is that I hope it's not too much too soon. They really jacked up the fanfare drafting Luke Hughes, which is fine, and it's really cool to have guys as talented as Jack and Luke on the same team. That's obviously great, and I thought Luke Hughes was the best defenseman available last year for sure, so he's good. You know, it's not that he's not a good hockey player, but I think that he's the type of player in person who's going to need a bit of maturing to really maximize what he can do in hockey, and it'll be up to him. We'll see what happens. I'm optimistic. You have to be, and I like him. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But that was fine. And Chase Stillman, Samu Salmonen, Topias Vilen, I think there's a lot that you could change, but, you know, Chase Stillman is a wild card. Samu Salmonen, if you paced him with a skating coach for the next couple of years, you could have an interesting power forward there. Topias Vilen, I took him off my list towards the end of the year, but he's fine, and 129, whatever. Victor Hertig, I watched him a bit. I thought he was okay. He's big and decently skilled and mobile, not extremely, you know, not extremely high end, but meh. And Zakhar Bardakov, yeah, I don't know. I've always felt that Bardakov is kind of a guy, but it's 203rd overall, so you can't complain too much. Oh baby, is this a Scouching? Yes it is. David St. Louis. Hello David, what's going on? Did you move? I did not. I think it's just that my camera's pointed more in the corner. So, and also that's the table I shoot my videos on, and right now it's flattening a painting that I bought, or it was a painting that came rolled up, so I'm flattening it before I frame it. But it's just I think off center a little bit after me maneuvering with my monitors over the summer. Welcome back, Coach. What do you think about Kotkaniemi's saga? I knew that was going to come. Okay, so we'll go over these questions really quick, and then I'm going to start playing some games, and you can watch me be terrible while I continue to answer your questions. The Kotkaniemi thing is fascinating. I mean, I think a lot of people are really revisionist historying the Jesperi Kotkaniemi thing and kind of forgetting that he's like barely 21 years old. Montreal, I don't think Montreal has handled him particularly well, but I also think that he, you know, like when he was drafted, it was a reach at the time, and a lot of people in the draft world knew it, and a lot of people in the draft world seem to kind of avoid talking about Kotkaniemi a whole lot once he was pretty good in his rookie year, and I think I was personally pretty surprised at how effective he was. But then he started kind of getting jerked around a little bit and playing up and down the lineup a lot, and his line mates were all over the place. It was a little bit weird to me, and it just continued to be weird, and it just, I don't know, and I don't know. Was it too much too soon for Kotkaniemi? Did they overcomplicate things? I don't know. But he's barely 21, and look, Carolina did with an offer sheet what you should be doing with an offer sheet is paying a lot to acquire a player that you think is worth overpaying for. And are they right? I don't know. I think that they're really pushing it with that number at 6.1 million or whatever it was. Also, Sportsology, I agree with you. Jack Devine is a good player to keep an eye on for Denver. I like him a lot. Him and the other Jack Hughes. Yes, there's another one. But Jack Devine is pretty good too. But yeah, with Kotkaniemi, it's so hard. Like I feel like that could be an overpayment, but Carolina has the money to spend. They don't really mind, and they can extend him before his expiry at a lower rate, I believe. So maybe it's not the end of the world, and you can get him for like 4.5 on a longer term deal. But to me, like, I'd rather my team overpay for a pretty good middle six center as an RFA at 21 years old, barely, than overpay for a UFA and pay $6 million for 6 years for a 32-year-old guy and not give up assets that you don't really need. Like, Carolina doesn't need more draft picks. They've drafted so much. And so there's really extreme reactions from pretty much every side that Kotkaniemi is a god or that he's terrible, and that Carolina is simultaneously awesome and stupid. But I really do think that it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think Carolina really seems to care that they're overpaying him a little bit right now. I think they would have thought about that, and so who knows? It's interesting, and I want more offer sheets. I want more teams saying, rather than overpay for a UFA, let's overpay for an RFA and go for it with someone. Maybe not like a Rasmus Dahlin level guy, but these middle of the road RFAs where it's a first and a third to get them, or a first, second, and a third if you really want to get nasty. I don't know. When does Lossee Thompson crack the NHL? Not this year, probably. I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of Lossee Thompson, but maybe next year. I don't know. Who do you think Montreal should target in the 22 draft to redeem themselves? Too early to tell, man. Too early. Did you see highlights from Kiril Tankov's debut? No, but I kind of liked him last year in a little bit of time with Variagi. Top 10 for 2022. Not there yet. But, I mean, okay, so, I'll go through this, and then I'll start playing some games. But my general thoughts, this is very general, but I have, right now, I've split names into tiers, and there's 4 at the top. Shane Wright, Brad Lambert, Ivan Marchenko, Matthew Savoy. That's my top tier right now. The second tier is big right now. I've got it going from 5 to 20. And right now, I'll just go through that and then we'll move on. But right now, the names in that list, Danila Yurov, of course, Isaac Howard, Noah Ostlund, Logan Cooley, Frank Nazar, Joakim Kamel, Lane Hudson, the other Jack Hughes, Gleb Trikazov, Ty Nelson, Elias Salamonson, Ludwig Persson, Philip Machar, Simon Nemec, David Juracek, and Tyler Duke. Tyler Duke is the guy that is coming out of nowhere for me that I have my eye on for next year. I like Tyler Duke quite a lot. But that's the top, my sort of 20 that I keep my eye on. And before you ask, Yuri Slavkovsky is just behind that group, like just barely. But again, that's a guy I want to see play club play this year. Hot take from David St. Louis. Oh boy, Ivan Morozov is a better prospect than Kiril Marchenko. Morozov is very underrated for sure, and I think that they could go head to head. I still like Marchenko, but I definitely think Morozov is one of those guys that's kind of flying under the radar. Do you think Laine has a bounce back year? I sure hope so, and if he scores 50 goals, that would be great. All right, we're gonna boot this up. Let's go casual because there's a better chance of me not being terrible. Who are the top 5 players in the 2022 draft, in your opinion? I mean, I think there's 4 that separate themselves, and that's Shane Wright, Brad Lambert, Ivan Marchenko, and Matthew Savoy. Those are the guys that I think I would put my money behind. And I would take any of those. I mean, Shane Wright, I think, is the best one of them all right now, but, you know, if the Buffalo Sabres, for example, end up with 4th overall and it's Matthew Savoy, that's not the end of the world. Have you watched Eklund in the SHL preseason? Just saw he hasn't put up many points. Don't worry about SHL preseason hockey. And I think he's back and forth from North America and Europe. I don't know. I'm not... Takes based on preseason are risky, especially NHL drafted prospects. Okay, what do we got
2,
here?
1. Team deathmatch. Gain the lead.
I died. What did you make of Corey Pronman's under 23 rankings? Meh. Those are my thoughts. Oh, jeez. Holy crap, I can't believe this is happening. Hey, there you go. Get me out of here. I died. That's too bad. What does that mean regarding Corey Pronman's list? I mean, I kind of read it very quickly, and it's a really good reason why I don't really do a whole lot of, like, here's a whole list of NHL prospects, and here are the best ones. It's why I don't do that, because it just makes people mad. like really mad. Which I'm not all about. And, I don't know, I felt it to be a bit of a, I don't know, like, I feel like it's just asking for trouble. Really? Oh. Shane Pinto's ceiling? I'd say middle six. Middle six center, perfectly reasonable at both ends of the ice. A guy you want on your team, but not like a untradeable guy. If that makes any sense. All right, here goes all the cold. Here comes the cold streak. Someone listed a bunch of UFAs that are unsigned with a long way to go.
5 minutes remaining.
You know, I don't know if that's. I mean, it's not unusual for guys not to be signed at this point in the season. It's not. Yeah, it's not unusual for guys to be unsigned at this point. So I wouldn't think that it's like the new normal, but I do think that it's good for young players to, you know what they're worth and go for the paycheck. And you know, it's their best years, so get what you think you're worth, and if you're not, then let the team make the mistake of let the team make the mistake of undervaluing you or whatever. And I don't know, like, it's interesting seeing how many players are thinking a little bit differently these days, but I don't think, again, like, it's not unusual for players to be unsigned to this point. Oh crap.
Double kill.
Okay, I'll take it. Thoughts on Raymond's potential for next season? I'm staying pretty cautiously optimistic about Lucas Raymond. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on the NHL team to start the year, but I wouldn't be concerned if he isn't. Good night. Oh crap! Oh jeez. Ah jeez, Rick. Yes, this is Splitgate. It's extremely fun. Do you think Vadim Kachov has a shot at the Calder if he plays in the NHL this year? I would be surprised. I've seen him a little bit over the years, and like, he's not bad.
Double kill.
He's not bad, but I think that this year's crop of rookies is going to be really good, and breaking out of that list. And breaking off that list, like, Cole Caulfield is still technically a rookie. Like, I get the feeling it's going to be really hard to overcome the hump of a lot of these guys, like Trevor Zegras, you know. I'm sure they're nice. I'm sure there will be dark horses and such, and maybe Kachov is one of those guys, but I'm not expecting it. I don't see him on sort of that Kiril Kaprizov level. Fun fact, Tyler Duke and the rest of the Duke boys played street hockey in front of their house, and their mom had to break up scuffles. That sounds like it makes sense to me, and considering how hard of a competitor those guys are, I believe it. How should we... Oh, that was a pretty good round. How should we view the third round pickup of Simone Robertson? Very well, I think. I mean, I know that I was higher on him than a lot of people, but I don't think I saw anybody even considering the fact that he was a third round pick. Maybe David St. Louis said that once, but I don't know. Maybe David's a genius. Who knows? But that was anyway, that was a big slip, and I think that if you're patient with him and you give him 3 years to develop. All right. I think if you give him some years to develop, I think you're going to get a good player, especially for a third-round pick. Like, it seemed pretty nuts to me. Like, he was playing junior-level hockey last year and was absolutely dominant. Oh no, not these elimination ones. These are the most embarrassing. Man.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah, David's not a genius. I know that. I know that. Uh-oh.
One enemy remaining.
Of course. Oh! I thought something was fishy about that.
Last man standing. Round lost.
I hate this game. I'm never playing it again. I hate it. I guess I better turn on multi-stream chat so I can keep track of Twitch. Philadelphia could offer a 6.1 million offer sheet to Kachuk. No real offer sheet threats. If Brady Kachuk gets offer sheeted and the Ottawa Senators don't match it, there's going to be riots, I feel, and I don't think any Senators fan would want that to happen. Oh.
One enemy remaining.
That was dumb. Thoughts on Teddy Niederbach? I'm cautiously optimistic. He's a lot of fun to watch, that's for sure.
Last man standing. Last man standing.
What else do we have here? Where will Gusev play hockey next year? Not the NHL, it seems. I don't think. I don't think he's signed, is he? I don't know. Prospect scouting be looking different these days. Yeah, I guess that's a good time to mention. Because the seasons barely started, I felt it was still prudent to do something on the internet. Tracking is starting tomorrow, actually. But yeah, what we're gonna do starting next week, and I've changed my Twitch schedule to go along with that. That was very bad. Yeah, so next week, starting next week, is going to be 2 streams a week. So Tuesdays are going to be kind of like this. Thursdays will be traditional, and I'll be much more attentive. But I'm trying to learn how to be more entertaining while also doing more entertaining things on camera. Which is old person speak for I want to play video games. And, you know, if y'all want, we can do collaborative stuff and... Really?
Last man standing.
But that's the plan. So Tuesdays are going to be more like this. Thursdays are going to be traditional, regular old, you know, me standing in front of the camera.
Round lost.
Oh, and there's the teabag. That's too bad. I think if it's under 10 Ottawa matches, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, at $6 million for Brady Kachuk, I would match it. That would be pretty easy to me. Thoughts on Nazar? Yeah, Frank Nazar is a ton of fun. He's a ton of fun in the games I've seen him play. Wow, it's match point and we're getting shut out. Are you kidding me? Alright. Alright.
One enemy remaining. Slayer. One enemy remaining. Round one.
There you go. Yeah, thoughts on Bordelo's upside if he plays with Eklund? Very high, I think. Or, I mean, maybe you split those guys up. I mean, that's the thing. Bordelo is a bit more of a playmaker to me, but he can really shoot the puck. But the same kind of goes for William Eklund. I mean, I don't know if I would pigeonhole him into that kind of a role. You know, but... Man. But I mean, if I had to pick between Eklund and Bordelo, I'm going Eklund, for sure. Because your question had something to do with fantasy hockey. That's just my 2 cents, but yeah.
Last man standing.
I mean, I think Niederbach is good. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying Niederbach is bad, but I'm patient. I'm being patient with him, because he's a guy who's going to require some patience, but yes. He was good at the World Juniors, that's true. What are my thoughts on Matt Savoy? I mean, he hasn't played this year, but I mean, he showed a lot of why he was so special in the USHL. Alright. But yeah, super quick and dynamic and skilled. I mean, there's tons of things to like about Matthew Savoy. Not a whole lot to dislike. But again, a lot of these guys who haven't played yet, well, what I've got is very high level and or very low level sort of basic stuff. Not a lot of these guys have been playing, and I don't have any data tracked, so that's my crutch that I don't have right now. Okay, fine. I'll answer your question, best of Canadian Boy 41, because you've asked it like 6 times. Who, in your opinion, should Montreal target in the 2022 draft to make up for 2021? I don't know, man. Is Montreal going to be terrible next year, or are they going to be good? I'm assuming you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, so let's say they win the Stanley Cup. I don't know. I don't know. It's September, man. Thoughts on Simon Evanson? Yeah, I think he is injured. You know, the thing about Simon Edvinsson is a lot of people were kind of confused as to why they would draft, say, I don't know, Edvinsson over like a William Eklund, and I think there is partly a thing to say there about that. You know, I think there is something to that, but I still think that Simon Edvinsson's ceiling, like, I think there is a universe where he ends up one of the best players in the draft. Are you kidding me? I do think there's a universe where he ends up the best player to come out of the draft, but it's very unlikely. But it is possible. But he is a talented defenseman, and I think he's going to get better and better every year. I mean, that's what you hope, right? You drafted him. Oh, that was bad. But yeah, I mean, if he's 6'6" now, I'm not surprised. Will Chippercov get off the fourth line this year? Well, that's the age-old question with pretty much any Russian professional hockey player. Will they get off the 13th man role or whatever? I can't tell you. Really? Oh no, it's okay about the question there, mister, but it's very early for those kinds of takes. Most of these guys haven't even started playing yet. I mean, if you're mostly asking because of the Logan Mailloux thing, I mean, I haven't heard of any player for the 2022 draft in that kind of legal jeopardy. Are you serious right now? So I guess pretty much anyone, I guess. How would you rate the chances of Sean Farrell to be a top 6 contributor? I think that's pretty slim. I know he scored a ton of points last year, but I think under normal circumstances, if I'm not mistaken, he would have been in college last year. Because, like, I think under normal circumstances he would be in college. But that was not to be, and I mean, he was dominant on a very, very dominant team. But at the junior level, which, you know, is not nothing, but, you know. And I love Sean Farrell, I really do, but I think he's going to be more of an energy, sort of down your lineup guy, but a good one, like one that you want to play and that you like having. I got to get my act together here. I really do. Dylan Duke looks good. I can't believe he fell to Tampa Bay. Well, yeah, he's really good, and of course Tampa Bay got him, and, you know, traded a pick from the Montreal Canadiens to get him. Or traded to the... Oh! Damn it. I tried to trap him. So I basically single-handedly have led to my team losing this, by dying a whole bunch of times. So that's fun. And I died again. I'm terrible at this. I had one good round and now I'm terrible. Wow, awful. Take the kill. I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, it does sound like the Leafs. It's exactly what's happening. I mean, I'm from Toronto, so it all makes sense. Ah, damn it. Thank you, God. Ugh. I hate that there's red skins in this game. If you're on the same team, there are people on your team who look like they're in red. And that is tripping me out. I hope Lossee plays this year, and I hope he's good. Me too. Mostly just for his sake. But also because I'm selfish and I love him. As a hockey player, I should say. I've died 10 times. Wow. But I've portaled a kilometer. I don't know what I'm doing. My aim is as good as a Christian Ehrhoff clapper. Well, Christian Ehrhoff made more money than you, so... I'll take it. That was...
One minute remaining.
Oh. Any prospects in the last 5 years that you think are close to exploding offensively? I'm gonna have to think about that one. It's hard too because it's hard too because I don't oh. Ah, that red skin, always. Do I like Sampo Ranta? I don't know, I think he's fine. Close. Okay, so prospects I think that are close to exploding offensively. I mean, Murat's off to a good start. That's fun. But I don't know about exploding offensively this year. It's also hard because a lot of guys just did not play last year, like, at all. I mean, I wonder about Trevor Zegras having a good year. I think Trevor Zegras could have a good year if he plays pretty solid minutes with Anaheim, if he's good enough for that. It's so hard to predict these things. Trying to think of other ones. I'm looking at my tracked prospect list here. Like last year, the big one was Jason Robertson. I like Jason Robertson a lot, and I did not think that was going to happen. I'm hoping Quinton Byfield could have a good year in the NHL as well. And yes, I did say Murat Kuznetsov, who is off to a pretty good start in the KHL already. Can you tell Gary to stop overrating Marco Kasper? Yeah, Marco Kasper's pretty interesting. I like Marco Kasper, but not like, you know, he's fine.
5, 4,
at least from my viewing so far, and that's from him playing this year.
Team deathmatch. Lost the lead.
Huh? Oh. Lafreniere having a good season with 50 points. Yeah, I mean, maybe. That's not necessarily what I'd call a... That's not necessarily what I would call an offensive explosion, but... I mean, 50 points for me should be like the... Not the bare minimum, but like the expectation. Oh, that was bad. That was bad. That was bad. Do you think Norris has hit an offensive ceiling in the NHL? Like Josh Norris? Even when I find someone from behind. Even when I find someone from behind. There's always someone else in this round, it seems. We're getting absolutely tossed here. This is bad. This is bad. I'm getting worse. I might have to switch games after this. I'm getting worse. Will Podkolzin make Goal Caulfield seem less of a missed opportunity for Vancouver this year? Look, I know the answer to this question is not going to be one you want to hear, but probably not, because Cole Caulfield is really, really good. You know, look, Vasily Podkolzin's going to be good, but I feel like Cole Caulfield is going to, you know... I mean, he's got to have someone to play with. That's another big problem, is they got rid of a center, and the guy they replaced him with in Christian Dvorak is fine. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. Like, I like Podkolzin, but I just don't think that in the NHL he's going to be much of a... Damn it! Much of a scorer guy. Do you think Pinto gets into the top 6? Maybe. Like, if he's your second-line center, I feel like you could do a lot worse. But that's also not the best. Like, he's fine. Like, he's fine. You know, he was fine as an NHL rookie. Like, let's not anoint guys before they're kind of baked. And Ottawa's a big, giant question mark for whatever that counts for. I'm also, like, half concentrating on answering questions, so I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants. So forgive me. It's also my first stream of the year. I'm a little rusty. But yeah, I mean, I like Shane Pinto, but, like... Would I want him as my third-line center on an NHL team that's, like, really, really good? Sure, I could do that.
King Slayer.
But, I don't know, he's barely played. Have I heard of Alexander Pelovin? Yes, he's one of the first names I'm going to track this year, which is nice. And I like Pelovin quite a bit. I was hoping that he would make it to his KHL team, but he did not. Oh, of course. And yeah, I like Pelovin quite a bit so far. I was hoping he'd make the KHL team, but if it means playing more minutes in the MHL, then do it. Are there any players, in your opinion, that are at the point in their career where they need to make it or bust? I would need to check off the top of my head. Like, I feel like this is a big year for Owen Tippett. That's a big one that comes to mind. Frig off. Who'd be my dream center for Cole Caulfield? Elias Pettersson. Imagine if that was possible. That's the funny bit, is that it would be. It was possible. Michkov looks like he's making the KHL's playground. I mean, he's having a very good start to the year. Please be wary of ironclad takes this early in the year. That is my disclaimer for literally everything until January. Podkolzin better in the playoffs. I mean, maybe. Cole Caulfield was pretty good in the playoffs already. But sure, I guess. And yes, Caulfield should have gone top 10. I don't really like saying this player's going to be better in the playoffs. I mean, first of all, the Vancouver Canucks have to make it to the playoffs to you know, be good in the playoffs, and I don't know. I mean, like, you're not wrong. I mean, Matvei Michkov is going to be a tremendously good hockey player. You know, like, I'm not disputing that Matvei Michkov is good. But...
Tied the leader. Kingslayer gained the lead.
Damn.
Lost the lead.
We should wait half an hour to answer questions. Yeah. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Don't worry. I'm fine.
Game over.
Don't worry, I'm fine. We should wait, yeah. Well, the other thing is, too, the stream latency is pretty long. I don't know how to increase it by streaming simultaneously to Twitch and YouTube. For some reason, you can't set it on the way up in the upstream or whatever you do, whatever you call it. But whatever. It's all good. But... Montreal in the playoffs because of prospects. I'm not so sure about that. Montreal squeaked into the playoffs just barely and got Cole Caulfield right at the end of the season. I don't know. Carey Price seemed to be a big driving factor. Vancouver, maybe Thatcher Demko, like, steals games to get you into the playoffs. I don't know. And I'm getting a vibe that you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, and Vancouver Canucks fans are extremely sensitive about Vasily Podkolzin. Again, I really like Vasily Podkolzin as a hockey player. I am not disputing that. And I believe I had Caulfield at 7 that year and Podkolzin at 9. Like, I don't know. Like, we're splitting hairs here, man. I like him. I like Cole Caulfield a little more.
Round starts in 3, 2,
and
1.
I don't know. Podkolzin's going to be a great player that you want to play for. I've always been that way about him. It's a lot of, like, you would die for him and he would die for you to win a hockey game.
Standing.
Really?
Round lost.
Montreal's an overrated prospect pool. Well, you never know. The guys you're talking about are 18 or 19 years old. I think Montreal is a pretty good prospect pool. I think their last couple of drafts have been
3, 2,
meh.
1.
And I think that they're also looking, you know, I'd be very curious to see how Montreal goes in the next few years in terms of oh.
Round lost.
But yeah, I mean, for Montreal, like, if they look at what they did in the playoffs this year, and instead of looking at Carey Price, and instead go, oh, Ben Sherratt got us to the Stanley Cup final. I'm not sure that's the best strategy, because it seems like they went out and added quite a few players in the draft who are just kind of big. almost had it.
Last man standing.
Almost had it. That hurts. That hurts. Ouch. You got batted. Why not pull out the bat? Anyway, whatever. Thoughts on Brady Lyle? I don't have any. Sorry, Zach, I don't have any. I can't get shut out in another one of these elimination games. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna happen. It's probably gonna happen.
Last man standing. Round lost.
Dang.
Round starts in 3, 2, 1.
I saw a question about puck-moving defensemen.
Last man standing. One enemy remaining. Round lost.
Awful. I'm awful. I'm awful. I'm just terrible. The Habs defense core and Sam Girard set the puck-moving defense. Sam Girard? Why Sam Girard?
Round starts in 3.
I mean, yeah. Look,
2, match point.
Seth Jones and Darnell Nurse's contracts, like,
Last man standing.
yes!
Round 1.
Yeah, like, Seth Jones and Darnell Nurse's contracts, I mean, yeah, look, I think the NHL looked at how the playoffs went this year, and I think a lot of teams drew kind of the wrong conclusions.
Match point.
I mean, I don't mind Seth Jones. I don't mind Darnell Nurse. I see the appeal. Oh. I see the appeal, but that is a lot of money. You know, that's a lot of money, especially during the pandemic. So I feel as though, alright, yeah, like, that's the thing, though. The problem is that the NHL, it seems, in a few different situations, like, being a good hockey player does not mean you're good in the playoffs, and that's the problem. Like, Samuel Girard, no one will look at him playing in the regular season and going, that guy's terrible. Connor McDavid, the same thing. But those guys, those kinds of players become targets in the playoffs and get mauled. And because the playoffs are not actually hockey, the rule book changes, and players like Ben Sherratt look great. So yes, you can say, oh yeah, Darnell Nurse and Seth Jones, they are making puck-moving defensemen look like old news. But there's a problem in the sport. Like, there's a problem. So yeah, like, Samuel Girard got mauled, but he wasn't getting mauled all season. He's not a bad hockey player. I just get the feeling that, you know, if you try to model your defense core after the Montreal Canadiens, you're going to end up being like the Toronto Maple Leafs of 2010, 2011, 2012, where they saw the Boston Bruins and said, we want to be that, and played Andrew McWilliam on defense with, like, I don't know, Jamie Devane as a third-round draft pick. Anyway, it's a strange strategy, and, I mean, the Tampa Bay Lightning had big defensemen, but their defensemen also had skill. Like, they had Kevin Shattenkirk, I believe, You know, Victor Hedman is very skilled. David Savard is underrated in terms of his skill. There's a lot. It's not just about saying, well, this guy can play in the playoffs because he's physical and aggressive. It's a lot more than that, and I'm not worried about Samuel Girard whatsoever. Especially, I mean, but again, if the rules of the game changes drastically as they seem to, we'll see. Thoughts on Dawson Mercer? Good offensive player. He had a good year last year when I caught him. I thought he was better than he was the year before, which is a good thing.
3, 2,
yeah,
1.
all good. I like Dawson Mercer as maybe like a second line guy who can, you know, slot in a variety of roles and situations. Really? Oh, they're all here. Wow. The people in power don't want it to change, so I'd rather just go with it. Well, the problem with just going with it is that when you try to just go with it, you're not a good regular season team usually. Like, again, Vegas is not just a team full of chonks who can't play hockey. Really? Already? That was really fast to go down to the last man. Great. Like, you can't, like, again, if you think of hockey as, like, this is the type of player that's good in hockey, you're not going to win. You're not going to, I don't think you're going to win. I just refuse to believe that. You have to have a balance of a number of different things. And writing off players just because they don't play a certain way doesn't really give you any sort of benefit. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Round starts in 3, 2, 1. Last man standing. One enemy remaining.
Finally. I know you were high on. You have to. I know you were high on Podkolzin pre-draft. You got to see the work Podkolzin's putting in on the ice. Okay. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
A lot of other players are doing work too. Like they're not. He's not the only person who's out on the ice working hard. Again, why is it so? Terrible. What am I supposed to do? Leafs should draft more defense. They lack in the defensive prospect department. I mean, they've got... Toronto has two pretty good defensemen on the way in Sandin and Liljegren. You know, people forget how young Liljegren still is. Because he's played in the WHL for however many years.
Last man standing. Round lost.
I don't know. And also, drafting defensemen is also one of the more inefficient, like, especially relative to draft position, it's pretty inefficient. Like, NHL teams are still not super great at evaluating defensemen in the draft and getting proper value out of them most often. I mean, obviously the ones that are exceptions are the more offensive-leaning guys. They're obviously the more offensive-leaning guys like Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes and such, but in terms of defensive players, it's tough to read. But again, I look at the Toronto Maple Leafs and see a pretty decent defense group as it is. They also haven't drafted much in the last year, and they did draft some good ones last year. Do you think Berggren plays this year? I don't think so. I think Berggren in the AHL makes a lot of sense for now. He had one really good SHL season after struggling for a couple of years. I don't know why you'd throw him in the NHL before he's ready, especially because the Detroit Red Wings they're going to be hopefully not as bad, but not like bonkers. So I just think teams are going to fall back on careful conservatism as a result. of this year and how obviously the rules changed in the playoffs was. I would love for Girard to work in the playoffs. I'd just rather have someone like McDonough over him. Well, Ryan McDonough at Samuel Girard's age was regarded as a pretty heavily offensive-leaning guy from what I remember, and he didn't find a tremendous amount of playoff success for quite a while. Like, again, Samuel Girard is, what, 23? Turning 24, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to change the game here. That's what I'm thinking, because I'm getting tired of getting the crap beaten out of me. So let's close this and boot up this. Your friend hates Timothy Liljegren. I don't know. Okay. And says they should have gone another way. Well, okay, let's play that game. Sure. Let's play that game. In the 2017 NHL draft. Like, going another way? Like, would you rather have Urho Vakanainen? I mean, Josh Norris, maybe. But, like, then you have a situation where you can kind of talk out of both sides of your mouth. Where you're like, well, defensemen take longer to develop, but I'd rather have Josh Norris. Oh, I guess I better put this on the actual screen here. There we go. There we go. Well, I don't really care about the NFL. And my controller's not connecting. Okay, 1 minute. Gotta turn it off and turn it back on again sometimes. Yeah, I mean, you look at that draft, and I mean, Kaylor Yamamoto, but then people would be yelling at Kyle Dubas for drafting another 5'6" guy, even though he's a half a point per game in his career. Like, if you're talking about defensemen, like Pierre-Olivier Joseph went after that, Henry Jokiharju, Connor Timmins, Nicholas Hague. It's a mixed bag after Liljegren, and Liljegren has been playing in the AHL for years, and especially because Toronto has done whatever they can to keep him out of the NHL, to keep him developing. I don't know. He's a fan of big, hard-hitting, and gritty guys. Well, I've watched a lot of hockey, and those big, hard-hitting, gritty guys on defense are more of a liability than you would think. Nolan Allen is a great example of that, but he ended up a first-round pick. Who knows? I mean, look, you can say take Josh Norris over Timothy Liljegren, but that is 100% revisionist history. Timothy Liljegren was slipping in that draft. There was uncertainty about him for sure. I'm not 100% sure about how Toronto developed him, but that is 100% looking at it through rose-colored glasses, going, look at how good Josh Norris was when he was plopped in an NHL roster with no expectations. Timothy Liljegren's expectations are very high just by the virtue of him being in the NHL, or being a Toronto Maple Leaf, and now his expectations are even higher because he's 21, 22 now? I don't know. I'm not too worried. It is tempting to want to be bad because you want Brad Lambert. I 100% agree with you. And yeah, Moritz Seider is going to be a pretty solid player. I think that's not in dispute. Excuse me while I lose at Rocket League. Okay. Any prospects from smaller countries that you think could end up at the Olympics? Well, well, Marco Rossi... oh, no, Austria didn't qualify. I wonder if, like, Simon Nemec will be there for Slovakia. I believe they qualified, right? I believe they qualified. I could be wrong. Oh. I am thinking about that question. Arizona drafted a guy who's probably going to be on the Norwegian team in Emil Lilleberg, but I'm not 100% sure he's that great, especially for a 21-year-old. But I believe he should be there. He was on the World Championship team and played quite a few minutes. I'm trying to think of other ones. You might see like a Lucas Reichel for Germany if they're there, maybe? I don't know. There could be a few. Okay, Ray Bro with a question. Hello, Ray. Good to see you again. Why is Marishanka so inconsistent in the defensive zone? He looked uninterested at times and other times he's motivated. Because he's 17 years old and playing pro hockey. Like, it'll happen. It's also very early in the year. He might just be trying to find his legs. You know, this is why I don't have a ton of... takes already this year. But, I mean, he's still an outrageously talented player. And the fact that he's capable of being motivated to play defense in your eyes is probably good enough to say, well, he's capable of it, so let's see if he can do it more. Shane Wright season is right. We're getting ready. We're getting ready to go. Did you start tracking 2022s? That's tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, by that I mean my lunch, and tomorrow evening, I am going to be doing Ivan Marchenko and Alexander Pelovin, who's a defenseman for Nizhny Novgorod, who is quite good. At least I think so. And I know there's someone else in this room who might still be here that also agrees with me, and if they agree with me, they're smart. Get in there, Lewis. Hey! What did you think of Lossee in the Olympics? I mean, he looked pretty good. He was a one-man show there. He was fine. But he's going to take some time to get back into form, I think. But, I mean, I'm hopeful he plays for the Wild this year. But I thought he looked pretty good. Yeah, so Slovakia qualified. I would think Simon Nemec could be there. They seem to really like him there, and they think he's the chosen one. Probably not Philip Machar, even though I like him a lot, but Nemec probably will be there, or at least I wouldn't be surprised. Oh my word. I'm terrible. I looked at my chat for 1 second. Leafs need to keep Liljegren only because Leaf fans can put them in every trade proposal. That is a good point. That is a very, very important and salient point. Can you think of a reason why Seattle drafted Curtis McDermott from LA? Your guess is as good as mine. I will be very fascinated to see how the Seattle Kraken do, not just this year, but in the next couple of seasons. Because, boy, ugh. At least in some areas, but they have a very highly respected group of analysts and smart people working there. So I'm not saying it's impossible and that there's like some sort of secret sauce that they've discovered that might make them a good team. But yeah, Curtis McDermott is a questionable one, but again, I think there might be certain NHL teams that are looking at the NHL playoffs and going, we need to be good in the playoffs, and someone like Curtis McDermott is someone you want in the playoffs. And I remember hearing talk like that here in Toronto for 10 years about guys like Fraser McLaren and Colton Orr, because they were going to help you, you know, win games because of this and this and this. And it did not work out so well. Do you think Dvorsky makes the Olympics? I'd be a little surprised, but I think he's good enough to maybe play a depth role for the Slovakian team, but He was good at the Holenka, but being good at the Holenka is a very different animal than the Olympics, that's for sure. Keeping tabs on the Lila Fernandez game. No, I'm not. I would like updates. And if anyone's unfamiliar, there is a Canadian woman. I believe she's 18. Correct me if I'm wrong. Currently in the semifinals for the U.S. Open, which is incredible, and it's the second woman for Canada to get to the semifinals in the last, what, 3 years? Something like that, which is pretty remarkable. I'm here to hype Marat. Well, you've come to the right place, I think. Do you play Rocket League with people in chat? Yeah, sure. If you want to play a game, if you want to party up, we can absolutely do that. I'll have to figure out. We'll have to make that happen. If you want to make it happen, we can do it. But yeah, just let me know. I wouldn't mind the Wings getting Marchenko. Yeah, sure. Maybe they've got another year to be bad. Who knows? Dalibor is better than Nemec. I mean, I think that the hype around Nemec is a little bit out of control already. Like, I'm seeing him ranked top 5 everywhere, and I don't think I buy that, but he is a very talented hockey player, and I think Dalibor Dvorsky, I mean, it's also hard to compare because one is a defenseman and one is a forward, so that's a whole other can of worms, but I like Dalibor quite a bit as well. Do you think Riker Evans can be a solid player? Well, I mean, sure. I mean, he's already a pretty solid hockey player considering he's an NHL draft pick. But in all honesty, I mean, I like Riker Evans. I'm not sure I buy just how good his numbers were. I mean, when you play 22 minutes a night and Connor Bedard is on your team, you know. Ugh. But I like Riker Evans. He's fine. Well, the funny thing, so Drift Shade, it's funny to see the entire analytics community get collectively let down by Seattle's expansion draft choices. It wasn't so much that, to me. It was more that, like, they have a lot of analysts and number crunchers who were there for multiple, like, over a year to help them prepare. And what they came out with seemed very incongruent with that. But again, like, when you see point projections with them, they're projected to be a pretty good team considering the weakness in their division. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. They have a decent group of defensemen, I'll give them that, and their goaltending is pretty good. The forward depth is physical, but we'll see what happens. Like, I like Brandon Tanev, for sure. And on that contract, if he were to sign it this summer, like, that's fine. But anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do. Have you noticed an issue in Lambert's game where he's a bit selfish in the lower leagues? Well, if you were as good as Brad Lambert, you'd probably find it really hard to not be a little bit selfish as well. Like, if you were better than everybody at the junior level... Oh, no. Wow. She's currently up 3-2 in set 3. Good for her. Way to go. All right, after this game is over, I'll set up a party, and we can do something. Wow, help. Yeah, I saw a couple of people put Nemec like at number 2 or 3, and I don't buy that. I mean, the Slovakian Pro League is okay. And he was pretty good there last year offensively. He's a defenseman that really likes offensive chasing offense. He'll jump into the offensive zone a ton. He's mobile, but not particularly like elite skater. Very good, but not, you know, necessarily elite, I guess you could say. And his defensive game is okay, but he definitely leans offensively and jumps out of position quite a bit to chase offense, and that's fine. But I want to see a bigger sample before I go around saying, oh, he's you know, like if you have defensemen doing that, they got to be like, I don't know. There aren't very many NHL defensemen who do that and get away with it consistently and still put up good numbers, but it's not impossible. But
but I'll be curious to see Nemish play over the course of this season. Lambert versus Wright. Well, right now it's Lambert, but Wright is not. Or right now it's Wright. Sorry for me. But I did not put Wright in a tier of his own because I think that there's a possibility. There's a possibility that, you know, we have a few challengers to the throne. Oh, sorry there, buddy. Damn. I get Bergeron vibes from Wright. I could see that, but I think Wright has a bit more offense. I mean, not that Bergeron doesn't have an offensive side to his game, but I don't think Bergeron necessarily shoots the puck, or at least did at the same age like Shane Wright does. I don't really know who Shane Wright reminds me of in the NHL. I'm trying to think of someone. Wow. This is my first game of Rocket League in like 3 weeks, so bear with me. Do you have the time? Oh, no, I don't have the time stone. Yeah. I'd love to have my hockey fixed tomorrow night instead of 3 weeks. Yeah, sorry. I can't offer that. I mean, you could go down to like a local rink and watch some shinny. That's sometimes fun. Who's my favorite player outside the NHL to watch? Who's my favorite player in the NHL to watch and not necessarily the best? It's a really good question. There's a few, like obviously Connor McDavid is a guy who I love to watch, but I know that's not really in the spirit of your question. I think William Nylander is a fantastic hockey player and a guy that I will defend to the ends of the earth. I really think that he's just a great hockey player. I'm trying to think of other ones. I like Tomas Hertl. Maybe not last season Tomas Hertl, but, you know, the Tomas Hertl we all know and love, I like. Patrice Bergeron, I think, is tremendous. Obviously, not that that's controversial. Wow. Trying to think of another one. There's, trying to think of others. Dylan Larkin is another one that I really like to watch. Cale Makar, I love watching as well. There's a lot of guys that I'll put a game on to watch. If you want a non-competitive game, ESPN2 has NYPD versus NYFD. That's funny. Yeah, sure. I mean, you could put that on. Oh, wait. How do I cancel my... I think it's the Y button. Yeah, okay. Alright, I got a item drop. Nice. Who do you like the most out of the top 4 defensemen that came out of last year's draft? Probably Luke Hughes, I think. In terms of, like, potential, it'd be Luke Hughes. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Eh. And yes, Nylander did perform in the playoffs this year because he's really good. And that's why I give guys a few years of experience in the playoffs to learn how to play in the playoffs. Oh, good evening. Good evening, Alfredo. Why is Noah Ostlund so damn good at hockey? He's been okay this year so far, but he is potentially very talented. I'll give him that much. Okay. So if anybody would like to join a Rocket League party, please let me know, and we'll set something up. But I guess I'll take a few minutes to take a break. We'll play a couple of rounds, and that'll be it for the evening. Also, yeah, so just to reiterate, the streaming for this year is going to be a bit different, at least until seasons get really ramped up. So right now, every week, streams are going to be Thursdays at 8 p.m. Every week, that's what's going to happen. But until hockey really ramps up, Tuesdays we're going to also be streaming until hockey really gets going, and doing some of these gaming streams. Thursdays will be just old-fashioned Scouching live streams. So there's that. And I'm trying to think of other stuff. Tracking starts tomorrow. Oh, I guess this is a good time. I mean, there's only 23 people in here, which is totally fine, but it's a good time to announce. I'll put out a tweet after this tomorrow morning. But McKean's, I'm doing a new role with McKean's starting this season. They've moved me to my own department, so I'm the head of video analysis over there now. So I'm the head of video analysis over there, and I've also brought on a good friend of mine, Sam McGilligan, to be a video analyst along with me. And we've also added Greg Revak, a famous Twitter personality, head coach kind of guy, who runs the Hockey IQ podcast that I was on not too long ago. And Greg and I got to talking, and he hopped on the team to be kind of a quasi-consultant for us on the video squad. So the three of us are going to be putting a few pieces together over the course of the year, looking at video and all that other stuff. So a bit of extra stuff coming out on McKean's, but it'll be McKean's exclusive, so none of that will be on my website. But you can check that out. You can check that out for sure. And yes, the stream is way behind, indeed. So yeah, go follow Sam McGilligan on Twitter if you don't already. Go follow Greg Revak on Twitter if you don't already. So the three of us will be putting some stuff out. We got a few things off the ground already. Look forward to that as well. Outside of that, I don't think there's much else going on my end. Just ramping into things a little bit here. What makes Connor Geeky good? He's big and has good tight quarter skill, but I want to see him playing this year. He's not in my first round right now, but we'll see. He scored a lot of points last year, which is fun, but I want to see him this year. Yeah, so Akron hockey. Akron? Is it Akron, Ohio, or Akron? Akron? Okay, so we have one more person wanting to join. Yeah, okay, so Akron, Ohio, whatever. Akron Hockey 1. Yeah, so McKean's, they wanted to do more video work using my data and everything, so we're going to start doing that. So stuff like you know, how you can look at something like defensive entry data and need to look into the video to really dig into what might be projectable and not projectable and why. So we're going to start looking into stuff like that, and Greg's going to be more of a tactical consultant, I guess you could say, just sort of looking at things from that angle. Yeah, I mean, for me, it started from basically starting from scratch and watching as much hockey as I possibly can, as for as little money as I possibly can, and realizing what makes a good team and what makes a bad team, and what makes good players good and what makes bad players bad, which is a much more complicated thing to answer than you might think when you're watching a lot of hockey. And then from there, I mean, it was just watching Russian junior hockey for free. The data tracking just kind of evolved out of my own personal interests. Yeah, so it just kind of snowballed. And I don't know if I'm any good. People seem to say I'm good, but I try to get better every day. I live every day thinking I'm not very good and I need to get better before I go to bed, so there's always that. That also helps. Gotta have that instinct in life, I think. Who's your first guy that you're tracking? Marchenko. Marchenko and then Alexander Pelovin are the first two on the list. Oh, nice. Gio Palermo is in here. Hello, friend. Good to see you. It's been a while. Welcome. What a save. What a saving my own teammate right away. Yeah, Raybro said it right. All scouts are terrible except Dylan Griffin. It's just Dylan Griffin just is, you know. If you know Dylan, you know. If you know, you know. I'm just kidding. I like him just fine. He's a wonderful kid. I like Portillo, but what do we have to see out of him to prove he's real? Well, if you've never seen him in real life, I could see how you might not think he's real. I don't know where you get your news or Facebook, or if you think like Elite Prospects is fake news, then maybe you can believe that Eric Portillo's not real, but I'm pretty sure he's real. I mean, I like Eric Portillo. He's a good goaltender. He's just getting started in college, though. He'll play a lot because Strauss-Mann is now gone, so I imagine he's going to play quite a bit. And I think, you know, another couple of years in college, and, you know, there's no reason to rush him. Buffalo's got Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and... Oh, get in there. There's no rush. I would love to get into scouting. Any ideas on how I could get a good footing? Do what I just said. Russian junior hockey is free. The CHL Game Pass is actually pretty cheap this year too, if you can get that. Hockey TV is pretty affordable too if you get a good deal. I don't know if there are any deals on now, but it depends. Like what I would suggest is like pick a lane and just really familiarize yourself and try to start from scratch. Like, one thing I learned or really enjoyed thinking about is thinking about what, instead of saying I agree or disagree with this player's valuation, think about why scouts like this player or why they don't. Like, try to watch them play and identify the commonalities between those players that are really highly ranked by pretty much everybody. You know, like, if you're going to come in and say, I don't like Shane Wright and think he's overrated, that's fine. You can do that, but just come armed, ready to defend that. And it's easier to come armed, ready to defend that if you understand why people like Shane Wright in the first place. If your philosophy diverts from that, that's fine. Like earlier, if someone's saying, like, oh, this defenseman isn't physical enough, then it's like, and they put Nolan Allen in their top 15, okay, like, you have your philosophy. I don't think it's realistic for something that extreme, but I would think that what you should be doing is looking at the establishment, learning from what they do, and just try to pick up on common factors. And then when you start to get comfortable and things kind of divert a little bit, maybe that's when you start going, okay, maybe I start developing my own kind of philosophy and what to look for and what not to look for. Because a lot of things as well with evaluation is how to weigh different things. You know, like, there's a lot of scouts out there, including myself, who I think accurately identify what a player does and what they don't do, and what they do well and what they don't do well. But they don't, like, the way that they weigh that can vary greatly. So it isn't so much that we always, like me and David St. Louis, who I think is in here, or at least he was, you know, like, a lot of the things we look for kind of line up, but I think that where we divert, or where a lot of people who have been doing this for a while divert, is by looking at it in terms of like, well, how important is this strength and how important is this weakness? And that's the really hard part, because that's where you see NHL teams, that's why you get NHL teams drafting quote unquote really off the board, because NHL teams are looking at, you know, they might be weighing different factors differently. It's why when people ask me, who should I take at 32? Who should my team take in the second round? Who should this, and this? And, you know, it's like, well, if I tell you, you probably will be surprised at the number of names that are consensus pretty good available later than you expect them to be. And that could just be because teams weigh different factors differently. You know, Atu Ratu at 52. You know what? I kind of get it. If teams are terrified of using their first pick on a guy like that, I understand why. Personally, I'm not super scared, but I have no skin in the game. You don't want to whiff if you're picking 12th overall and it's Atu Ratu, who is a player that has objectively been struggling. I get it. So I guess to answer your question quickly, start slow and look at whatever tape you can find of really highly valued players, and accept as well that it takes a while to develop your eye. Like, I thought I knew everything in 2016. I thought I was a friggin' genius. And I was not. But what I did have, you know, I looked at Adam Fox that year and said, well, he's really talented and has really good data, and whenever I watch him, I think he's really good, but he's 5'9". Am I concerned about him being 5'9"? Probably not. And I've kind of held on to that belief. I don't really care how big a player is. I care about how they play, you know? But that's just me. You know, if you want to sit there and be like, well, if you're not 6'2", I have no interest. I get it. I understand that. But it limits to me, something like that limits just the scope and limits the potential for finding value if you are in the driver's seat at some point in the future. And the other thing I would recommend is just, like, you know, like, I have some connections and I talk to people, but those came out because of the work that I put out. You know, like, after a while you can put work out and the right people will be listening and the right people will reach out when the time is right. So if you don't, like, force it and you just kind of go with the flow. We lost 5-0. Ouch. You know, anyway, it's a long road, and I'm still, like, I don't know. I'm still learning. I've learned quite a bit. Just having some time off, I've learned quite a bit by not watching hockey. So it's interesting. Joseph Sultana, what's going on? What's Hockey TV? Hockey TV is the American streaming package. So you'll get USHL, NTDP games, you'll get NAHL, BCHL, OJHL, AJH, all Junior A, basically all North American junior hockey that isn't the Canadian Hockey League. WHL season pass was $67. Yeah, I heard that it wasn't the best last year, but I mean that's the reasonable option. That's the reasonable option to watch the CHL, unless you get cable or something and pay for expensive packages or something. I don't know. Especially if your interests are pretty casual and you're just watching, like, it does the trick. Hey, there's a goal. Hello, Josh. You have the same name as my cousin. That's great. Save. That's going in. No, it's not. It's funny, I can't get the thought of that flag on, is it Exertion on your car? The infected mushroom logo. It's reminding me of the time I saw them live, like, God, 10 years ago, in a park in Ontario. That was That was an experience, that's for sure. You kind of have to see infected mushroom outdoors. It's not quite the same indoors. I mean, mushroom is in their name, but... What was that site you said? I'll look up real quick. I said a few. I mean, you can... Like, if you want to watch hockey, the Russian junior leagues are on YouTube. Hockey TV is the US and Junior A one. The CHL Game Pass, I think is what it's called now, that you can get as well. I'd also recommend, there's an article that I really like to just read up on once in a while from a few years back by Gus Katsaros on McKean's called The 4 S's of Scouting. If you Google it, it should come up, and that was one of the first things where I was like, okay, it makes a lot more sense in terms of what I'm kind of looking for in a player, or what makes a good player. And Gus is one of the OGs. I mean, he's a real gem. So yeah, check that article out as well. It's a pretty quick read, but it covers the bases pretty quickly, and I've always referred back to it as just sort of like a reference manual, so to speak. Also, Raybro makes a good comment. Talk to other people and learn from them. The Dunning-Kruger Effect is extremely real, I guarantee you. So if you wanna take your hand at this and get into it, be prepared to do a lot of thinking, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of learning, and a lot of work. He says as he plays Rocket League on the internet with people. I swear I do work. I do. I think. Oh, Bobby. Oh, we are having a time in the corner. Also, if you want a video game that like isn't hockey, but very tactically is kind of similar, play Rocket League. You know, you learn a lot just from getting better at seeing the game of Rocket League and understanding what's going on and whatever. You kind of learn about hockey a little bit, which is kind of interesting. Oh dear. Yeah, Rocket League is a lot more like hockey than soccer. The field feels smaller, like hockey. There's fewer people on the field, like hockey. It's fast, like hockey. No! Yeah, it's all... Yeah, it's all good. Alright, I think I got like 1 or 2 more in me, and then I think I'm gonna call it a night. Rest assured, we'll be back. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. as well, so 8 p.m. streams from here on out. I need to do it earlier. The only reason I was doing them so late was because I worked a 9 to 5. I still do, but I had to commute home from Toronto, and I wouldn't get home and eat dinner until like 7:30, which, yeah, an 8 p.m. stream would be really quick and a lot of work in a row, so This year, it looks like I'll be here at home still remote for quite a while, so we'll try the 8 p.m. slot. And yes, tracking starts tomorrow. Get in there, Lewis. That's not going in. That's not going in either. Third time's the charm. That's it. What is it? In the Inglorious Bastards, the guy did this. Was it this? Drei Gläser? My dream is to see Infected Mushroom live. Yeah, that was a time. And it's not like I'm sitting here being like, oh, I wish I could remember it because I was so hammered, but, like, I remember it. It was, and that was also, like, it was right when that type of music, like, the really grimy, intense, like, I mean, they're not quite on that same level, but, like, that was when, it was right around when, like, Skrillex was a thing, you know? And, actually, I think Skrillex played at the same festival, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that was a heck of a time. It was like a giant campground. It was called the World Electronic Music Festival, and Infected Mushroom played there one year, which was incredible. So highly recommended if you can find a way to see, like, especially Infected Mushroom. That was quite a sonic experience, so to speak. Come on. I think on Tuesday, I think I'm going to embarrass myself playing, I don't think I've ever done it online, but I think Tuesday I'll embarrass myself playing Formula 1 2020. I don't have the 2021 game. I'm barely good enough at the 2020 game to begin with. But that's the general idea. Sorry. Ray, bro. Yeah, I mean, Ray, you would have been like 5 when I went to that festival. And yeah, I agree. It was a phase for a lot of people, the EEM craze of the 2010s. It got a little out of control, and then it got commoditized, and it was not great. And it kind of got beaten to death. But the one actually, there is one band that kind of has been a holdout for me that I've kind of continuously listened to since then, and that's Cohen Sound. I don't know if anyone in here listens to them, but they kind of transformed themselves into a much more acceptable version of that style of music, which I like. But yeah, whenever that type of music comes on my YouTube music, it's not great. Yeah, actually, Geo, I was thinking I would start a career mode actually, as Bill Scouch, and see how that goes. It could be some kind of fun. Last year, someone asked if I wanted to do NHL streams, and that is like a goal. I would want to do that. But if anyone on the planet knows how to get an Xbox or a PlayStation right now, please let me know, because I've been looking for one, and I don't, and it would be like just for streaming online, really. And I would love to do a Be a Pro or I'd love to do a Be a Pro or a franchise mode kind of thing. I believe I read somewhere that there's an expansion team mode. Like if you don't even want to be the Seattle Kraken, you could be some other team, which I'm all about if I could do that. And if we could do that, that would be great and a lot of fun to do over a few weeks. But I'm not holding my breath, because stock for pretty much any electronic item is extraordinarily limited. And the last time I went this deep on buying something electronic that was an aspirational purchase, it was my graphics card, and it took me, I had to run a program to track HTML code changes on a website to keep track of stock just to get one. So that wasn't very fun. I got an Xbox Series S pretty easy at EB Games in Alberta. Maybe that's another thing, is I might have to go in person, but I don't know. I don't know where you live in Alberta, and you don't have to say in the chat, but I live in a pretty big city, and I feel like if there's no stock online, there might not be that much stock elsewhere, but that might be a good idea. I don't know. I don't even want the big-time Xbox. I don't need the disc drive. I'll probably just buy all my games or get Game Pass. But whatever. That's an idea. Gonna try to make it happen, but I can't guarantee anything, of course. Do your kisses taste like Malibu? Right? Right? The best song on the Rocket League soundtrack, and I will fight anyone who disagrees. Nope. Hey, oh. Oh, just walked into the store, eh? Alright, alright. Maybe I'll go to the store tomorrow. I'll give it a try. Take my lunch and hit up a couple of places, maybe? I don't know. Eh? Oh well. Got the goal at the end. Alright, I think that's gonna be it for me this evening. I am, my throat is running out of steam. Old man's a little rusty. But that was a ton of fun, of course. I'm glad to be back. We'll do another stream Tuesday night, 8 p.m., and then another one next Thursday. That'll be the schedule from now until things really get ramped up. So stay tuned for more. There's stuff coming. Follow Sam McGilligan and Greg Revac on Twitter if you don't already. I'm trying to think of other stuff. Thank you very much for joining me. This was a good time. And I will see you next Tuesday. And I will continue to start tracking some data for you. And next week there will be some data to present. Some hot takes early in the season. So thank you very much for joining me. This was